Okay, I really only know the procedure for mage, but I think I can vaguely guess at what the other roles are supposed to do. So basically, as mage, what you want to do? Do you have a Tebow, Ralos, and everything, or are there
Yeah.
like? Okay, gotcha.
Both.
So as mage, what you want to do is when you do the entry, you're doing one accurate Tebow into two Ralos specs. And that should get it to zero, assuming that one of your Mauls lands and your Ralos doesn't noodle too hard. And then you're back on the rapid Tebow for the rest of the room. The reason you do that accurate Tebow at the start is just to delay your first Ralos spec so that the Mauls have a chance to land. After that, you're pretty much standing at either like full max distance. I think one tile closer works as well, and T-bowing on rapid. And you want to be watching Maiden's HP. Assuming the team is on tick, which means that no one kind of like randomly lost any ticks and all the hit spots are landing at the same time, your bow hit splat will land at the same time as other people's sights. And that just makes Maiden a lot easier to kind of like read her HP. Generally, when she's about like 5-6% from the next proc, I just send another bow. If I kind of noodle, I might send another one. If I hit decently big, I usually just swap to mage here and get ready to freeze. If you're kind of still a bit new to solo freezing, I would just say default to freezing the south crabs all the time, so you can just like hover south one. If that doesn't spawn, you can quickly freeze south two. And if you didn't lose any ticks doing that, you can also freeze north two if it spawned. Otherwise, you're just kind of waiting for the threes and fours to clump up so you can freeze those. This is for 70s. Once you've done that, go back to bowing the boss and get ready for 50s. 50s, you're going to do the same thing. Just freeze south 1, 2, 3, 4, assuming they spawn. And after that, you can send like a couple of other barrages onto the stack just to kill it. Because in trios, the ranger isn't going to be chinning the stack, so it's just going to be barrage damage plus dins from the melee maybe, plus maybe some sights if people are trying to get their death charges off. For the skip, it's pretty like simple. You just kind of again freeze 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go and start hitting the boss. And this time you can like run in and start mailing the boss and taking off prayer venges just to make the skip a bit cleaner. I should mention that you're going to want to at least freeze 70s and 30s with an Ancient Scepter, because in trios, the DPS is not quite as consistent, so having like the extra bit of time just makes it like much nicer. For 50s, the old procedure was that you can use a Kodai to get some extra splash damage onto the clump, but if your melee is using a Dins, you can also just use the Scepter as well, and that'll be fine. So that's pretty much what you do for as the mage. If you're a DPS role, what you're going to want to do is do a rapid bow entry into a Maul spec, and then just start scything the boss and kind of like flicking to avoid getting drained. Not getting drained is really important because if you get drained at all, you'll lose quite a bit of DPS, and that's kind of really bad for the stack and the skip, and that might kind of like fuck you up. You're going to want to tank venges. You can tank venges on prayer first if you're like still kind of learning, just to have a bit of extra HP to work with. But your main goal here is going to be to not lose any ticks and be on tick with the major. That way it'll just be easier for them to freeze. So this means that after your Maul, the only specs that you're doing before 30s, if you do have spec from like Death Charge or Surge Pot, is going to be ZCB. Because if you claw pre-30s, that's going to put you off tick. And that'll make it harder for the major to freeze everything. For 70s, you're just going to be wanting to watch North 1 and 2. Since your freezer is still a little bit new, I would say just default to swinging on North 1 and North 2 in case they go in. And same thing for 50s. And for 50s, as a melee, you can also Dins the stack if the proc took a long time, because you want to get some damage on those crabs before they leak. And aside from that, any spec that you can have, whether it's a ZCB or whatever else, if you have a ZCB, you can use it to push 450. So after the 70 crabs, you can ZCB, so you can get a cleaner stack, or you can save it for the skip. You can also claw after the skip as well, because since no more crabs are spawning, it doesn't matter if you're off tick. Also, one thing to note is that if you have Oath Plate, you're going to have to at least do a two-way with like a ZCB and like something else to avoid getting drained. If you do get drained, it's not a big deal. Just make sure you repot. If you're kind of like new to this stuff, I would even consider bringing a second regular super combat, just so that if you mess up the flick, you can always just repot in the middle of Maiden, and it's not the end of the world. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's probably like a more in-depth guide for the DPS role somewhere, but I can't find it right now. So yeah, I guess if you guys want to like stream a Maiden kill or something, I can watch that.
Kyo, you're the major. Can you stream for him in Discord, please?